Hello, welcome back to Fred in the Shed. Before we get started on this, I'd like to thank everyone that sent in goodwill messages since my previous video and my posting where I've had some surgery in my mouth. Pleased to say everything's gone really well with that, no infections. I've still got some stitches in, but I think they just dissolve on their own. So back to normal. Right, on this video, bit of anticipation this video. I've been waiting to do this one for a while. This is the new Retevis A3 quad band radio. Had this in for weeks, just been waiting for Retevis to get the go ahead so I can test it. Deliberately not opened the box on this. I've not seen any other videos on this radio. I want to completely have a clean slate because, as you know, if you follow the channel, I'm trying to find a usable handheld radio that works on 27 megahertz CB frequencies, as well as PMR, and of course it's a ham 2 meter 70 centimeter transceiver. It's not type approved for CB, but I'm trying to find one that will transmit with clean harmonics. There will be no spurious harmonics in the other bands or frequencies. I haven't found one yet. Really got high hopes for this. This is a premium product from Retevis. It's quite expensive compared to other products. I'm not going to tell you the price. The link's in the description. You want to check it out because I don't want you to be prejudiced, or me to be prejudiced when I actually do the video. Let me just run through some of the specs on this radio. So it's a quad band radio, has the SI4732 chip, which means it can receive shortwave and upper and lower sideband. It's got 1,000 memory presets. It will TX on 10 meters, 2 meters, 6 meters and 70 centimeters. It should do the 11 meter CB band with a slight adjustment on the antenna. It can receive massive 600 meters all the way down to 26 centimeters, and also the airband. It's got a 2500 mAh battery, 119 hours standby, and up to 16 hours typical transmit time. So it all sounds really, really good. Let's crack into the box and see what we get with a premium product. First time I'm opening the box myself, and let's have a look what we get. So yeah, straight away I'm impressed actually, because I can see we have a program cable provided. It's a proper genuine Retevis program cable. These are about £10 on the Retevis site if you want to buy them separately, so that's a good bonus straight away. Here is the 28 megahertz, or we're going to be using it on 27 megahertz antenna. It is a branded antenna, but I'm going to be honest with you. Look, here's one of my cheaper antennas, and the packaging, plastic packaging, although that is printed Retevis, it looks like they've just stuck a label on it. It does look like the same packaging as you would get. So I wonder if this is probably just a generic 27 megahertz antenna. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does look the same. It is actually, there's numbers. It's HA07, and it claims to be frequencies of 27 megahertz. Okay. Independence 50 ohms. So that's the CB antenna. We have tested these before. They SWR in at about 2, so they're not ideal, but that's what we get. Instruction booklet. Do expect a decent one from Retevis. Yeah, this looks absolutely fine. For those of you that like to go with, yeah, there's lots of information here. Of course, this is a ham radio transceiver. It's not type approved for CB radio. Get the little T-bar antenna. Oh, okay, so we're down. We've got the same mono 3.5 millimeter jack. Now we had that on the Quanshang, the TK11, and I would have hoped it would be an SMA to fit other antennas. But that's what it is. Radio itself feels heavy. That's the first thing I'm going to say. 289 grams. Yeah, the keypad is very nice and clear. Pleased to say, you might not be able to see it on the camera there, but pleased to say that the shortcut symbols such as squelch, power, high and low there, and all of the shortcuts are on the secondary function on the keys. That to me is really important. I do believe it's a mono screen. I've got no problem with mono screens. I think they're more usable. Yeah, mono screen. Very similar to the Quanshang. Very similar to the same type font used there. And the same layout. In fact, the whole layout of the keyboard is very similar to the TK11 Quanshang there. So first impressions in the hand, it feels heavy. It does feel like a premium product. Yeah, there's the mono 3.5mm jack, just purely for the T-bar. Now the problem I've got with this, it's going to be the same thing I think as we had with the Quanshang. So for example, if you've got the CB antenna in and you want to do a little bit of AM listening, because these only really work on AM, you put this into the radio and it is directional. Sorry, you're off camera. It is directional, but with that, so you're going to have to remove all of the antennas and then it is fully directional. I suppose that's not a biggie really, is it? You're not going to use the same antennas at the same time. But good that it's got the step there. We'll test that, but I found these are only really good on AM. Not much good on shortwave. Switch the radio off in case I push the PTT. What else do we get? Lanyard with the removable clip, exactly the same as you get on the Quanshang. Is that plastic? Oh, that's a bit of disappointment. That's actually made out of plastic. I thought that would be metal. No, that's all plastic. Oh, I'm not that impressed with that then. No, you'd expect that to be chromium plated metal, but that's all sort of a bit plastic, so I won't be using that. So what else we get in the box? Quite a nice, decent box. Okay, metal belt clip. It's not the screw-on type, which I do prefer. Has a rather vicious looking spring on it. Very slight strong spring, so that will obviously go onto the back of the radio. It does go onto the battery. We'll have a look at the battery in a moment. I'm not going to fit that because that'll be difficult to get off. UHF, VHF antenna. I think because this covers the 6 meter band as well, you get this little coil at the end, very similar to the Quan. And yeah, it's okay. It's going to be a little bit kind of top heavy on the radio, but so you'll be using that for the UHF, VHF, also airband as well. That will work. And then a charging base with an old style USB. Can you see that? Sorry, I'm a bit off camera today, but old style USB, not a USB-C. It's a bit strange. And then LED in the charging base. Radio itself, we do have straight into the battery. We do have I think that's a USB-C. Yeah, I think that's a USB-C socket there. Straight into the battery, has an LED. Right, let's clear the bench and get a closer look at the functions of the radio. So a quick look around the radio. It does feel high quality. Credit where it's due. They've done a nice work on the case. I'm not sure if it's IP rated. I didn't notice that. This side of the radio, we've got a dual PTT, quite useful. And then we have 2 additional programming buttons there, rubberized, of course. Down here, we have the Kenwood K1 socket, and I'm really pleased that they've stuck with the Kenwood socket. If it ain't broke, you know, don't fix it. I know it's not IP rated, but this does have a seal there, so that is protected. That will be shower proof. Do we have a USB-C on the bottom here? Maybe not on this one. No, that's fixed. So the USB is straight into the battery. So moving on to the display of the radio. Like I say, I've got no problem with these backlit LCD displays. It looks a little bit washed out on the camera. I think it might just be the angle. It's actually very clear to my eyes. It looks better than it's coming out on the camera. Keyboard itself, yeah. Secondary functions, backlit as well, so your main functions are in white, your secondaries are in blue. Logical layout here on the menu system, so we go into the menu, there'll be a main menu and then there's a sub menu. So this is your general settings, channel settings. I think there's about 10. Yeah, there's 10 different main menu settings, and then you can go into the sub menus That's the backlight or key beep. Yeah, let's go back to the, let's turn that key, keep the voice on. Let's turn that orb off. That's better. So all of your regular settings are going to be in here, like your voice activation. You'll find your privacy channels, or your privacy squelch channels, if you like. They're not real privacy channels, are they? But yeah, pretty simple, pretty basic. I don't think there's any problem with that. You know, it's better to have an easy to use radio than something that looks very pretty but drives you absolutely crazy. I do like the fact you got an exit button there just to bring you straight back. VFO and memory select. Now, if we go ahead to the top frequency there, we can now type in our CB frequency. So let's do, for example, 27305. So we press the hash key. So we go 0, 27305. So there's our 27305. Now, out of the box, the radio has disabled transmit on 10 and 11 meters, and that's a legal requirement because this isn't a type approved radio, regardless of any harmonics. So if we try and key up here, we'll see it says disabled. Now, to get past that, there's a kind of hidden menu. Like I say, it's a legality thing. You only have to do this once. Now, to get into that, what you need to do is switch the radio off, and you have to hold down the second PTT and the first programmable button at the same time. A bit tricky, so you hold those two down, switch the radio on. So when the radio comes back on this time, we've now got this special menu here. So this is the frequency lock menu, and if we scroll through here, we can see all of the different plans, all the different modes here. So what we need to do, we just need to switch that off, basically. There we go, frequency lock off. So the radio now is completely unlocked. So when we switch the radio back on,
welcome, frequency mode.
We've got our 27305, we press the PTT, there we go, the radio will now transmit. Just a cautionary word here. If you've switched off the TX lock mode like I've just done, be very, very careful, because as you can see, we're on 136 megahertz. We're in the aircraft band, and I'm only going to do this briefly, but if I press the PTT, there you go, the radio will now transmit because I've switched off all of the locks. So yeah, if you're going to do that, just be very, very careful what frequency the radio is tuned to. Another little thing that can catch you out also is when it comes to the antenna input. So if you remember, we've got two antenna inputs. We've got a 3.5mm mono jack, which is the center input. Now that runs from 1500 kilohertz to 18 megahertz. So that covers all of the shortwave band, and also, I suppose, the upper part of the medium wave band. However, that is not a transmitting jack. Okay, the only transmitting jack on the radio is the SMA, the male SMA. So this is where you're going to put all of your transmitting antennas. For shortwave, you will need an adapter, of course, because it is 3.5mm. I would have preferred it if it had been an SMA, but you can get an adapter for about £5 off Amazon. So all of your shortwave antennas will have to go into that jack, not that jack. But your transmit antennas, UHF, VHF, and also your CB antenna goes into the live hot jack there. Can throw a few people out there. The radio does have a built-in spectrum scope. You activate that, I'm off camera, but by just pressing button 7, and then it starts to scan. It's a very basic spectrum scope. It does show you the frequencies. We're picking up a couple of frequencies on the 446 band, but it's not as good as the original Quanshang, where you could monitor, listen to the frequencies, and you had a squelch line you could adjust. It's not that sophisticated. I'm just going to transmit on a separate radio off camera on 446. There you go. So there's our received signal on 446, but unfortunately we can't listen to it. It just tells us that the signal is there. So yeah, it's a little bit basic. It could be improved. Thankfully, the radio does have a very simple scan feature. You just hold down the star key here, and then the radio will scan forward, find a signal, stop momentarily, and then carry on. I get a lot of interference from my LED lights, so we should get interference up on the 446 band. Let's start the scan.
Scanning begin.
There we go. There you go. So this is interference from my LED lights. It should momentarily, there you go, stop. It will move on to the next frequency again. That's interference. Stop. Next one. If you want to monitor it, you just hold down the star key. And then you can lock it on that frequency and add it to the memory. As well as the scanning side of it, to make it a little bit easier, there are built-in preset bands in the radio. Just by pressing the band switch here, takes you through all of the hand bands, broadcast bands there.
Jolene, Jolene, Jolene.
Quite a while now, so it will do that. I think it won't ultimately make a two-state solution any more likely. So I don't think it's suddenly a moment where we're going to look back and say, of course, this is the moment where it all started to change.
Rowan Bridge reporting from the inquiry into the Southport attacks. It's 5:47.
Now, within the last couple of hours, it's been confirmed that all of the remaining body care shops will close.
With thousands of new products and electrical solutions, it's got everything to keep you at the top of your game. To get
created a powerful momentum against drugs in the short term and reduce the usage rates of certain substances temporarily. Their reliance on punishment.
$100,000 per applicant, arguing that the move would protect American jobs and ensure only irreplaceable, highly skilled talent.
Well, it's all right for me because I'm pretty sheltered in my back garden, so I sat down in my chair right by a 6-foot fence, shielded from that cold northeasterly wind, and it was lovely. No, he did come on and he said, is anybody out there? And I was mucking about and I said, no, nobody's out here, Dad. And I think he went off sulking.
Yeah, I had a knock at the door at work. They ringing the bell and a parcel was delivered, which was expected to, that's your key, isn't it?
Yeah, well, when you came on and said, is there anybody there, I said, nobody's on at all, and you went quiet. I thought, shit, I've upset him.
Άμα κορνάρει με τα αμάξι εκεί μπροστά που είναι στην Κέρξη, στην οδό Κερκύρης, λοιπόν μπορεί και να τον ακούσαμε εκεί ησυχία.
Στιγμή ένα από τα δύο να είναι μόνιμα ανοιχτό, ποιος ξέρει.
Έλα, ναι, σωστά, πολύ σωστά. Θα το έχω υπόψη μου, έτσι, θα το έχω υπόψη μου.
Going to do a basic PMR test. I'm pretty confident with this Retevis. I've never had a Retevis do a bad PMR test before. I think this one will be no exception. See how it gets on. Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4 on PMR.
Audio test 1, 2, 3, 4 on PMR. 1, 2, 3, 4. Mary had its Little Lamb PMR test.
CB test then. Great big antenna on the radio. I really need to make a compact rubber ducky type antenna like we used to have back in the old days. So I've kept it on medium power because I haven't checked the harmonics yet, just in case the harmonics aren't particularly good. Let's give it a go. Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4 on CB.
Audio check 1, 2, 3, 4 on CB. CB on the Retevis. Audio 1, 2, 3, 4 CB, CB, CB 1, 2, 3, 4.
Going to do the harmonics testing then. So we're on 446. You've seen this before. It's going to take a little while for the scanner to scan across, so I'll have to pause it and come back. Let's key up the radio. And there we go. And I mean, that is a clean radio in my book. I've never had a problem with Retevis on PMR. There's your fundamental signal there. And we need a -4 dBn drop. And we've got almost 60 down to the secondary. And even when we go up into the sort of 2.5 gigahertz range, we're sort of in the sort of Wi-Fi range here. They're still acceptable. So yeah, on 446 the radio is, in my book, pretty clean. That would pass a FCC test, probably an Ofcom test as well. However, let's move on to CB, and that's where we're really going to test the radio. Here we go then. Are we finally going to find our first clean CB walkie-talkie? It's a premium product, remember. Oh no. Let me just pause the screen. And there we go. In fairness, it's probably the best result I've had so far. But it's still not good enough. So there's the fundamental signal. So we need 4 clear squares. Mine is 40 dB. So that's about halfway. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then halfway, that's about there. So number 2's fouled, number 4's fouled, number 5's fouled, and that's all we really need to know. So around about here is the air band. So number 5 is just into the air band. Number 4 just outside the broadcast band, actually, on FM. And then around about the 56, well, about 60 megahertz there completely. So it's better than some of what I've tested recently, but it's still not usable. It's still not a usable harmonic. We really need to see these much lower. So it just shows you that the radio still hasn't got any band pass filtering for 11 meters, unfortunately. Bit of a shame now. I really hope by going premium we would get there. Conclusions then. What do we think of the Retevis A3? I think it's a bit of a shame that it didn't pass that harmonics test on 27 megs. I really hoped it would. By going up market and spending a little bit more money, I really hoped it would have better internal bandpass filtering. It would filter out those harmonics. It did better than some other radios, but it's still not acceptable on an FCC test or an Ofcom test here in the UK. They're just too high. So it appears that they've spent some money on the casework, because it feels a lovely radio to use. Very nice action with the keys. All of the plastics feel high quality. You do get a lot for your money in the box as well. I mean, you get the 3 antennas, and also you get the programming cable, and I think that's really nice. You don't have to buy any other accessories. As a dark side PMR radio, it's a joy to use. It's really good. I'm not surprised though, because I've tested Retevis radios before as dark side PMRs. This was the RA89. This worked really well. This was a 10 watt radio, rated 10 watts on PMR. And I think even better at the time was the RA79. This one, this little radio could be flashed with Exuma, the same as a Quangshan. So it had the same firmware. And this was a really good radio. Cost just a little bit more than a Quangshan, but at the time I think it was worth it for the extra quality. Now that's the problem really with the A3, unfortunately. It's going to come down to price in the UK. I'm not going to tell you the price. It's in the description if you want to go and check it out. But when it comes down to competition, its main competitor is going to be the Quangshan TK11, which fundamentally is the same radio. I think it's the same inside. This equally has bad harmonics. I think the A3 has a nicer casework. They've spent some money on the outside. They just haven't spent the money on the inside. But this radio is a lot cheaper. This one was £50 when I tested it on Banggood. A little bit more on Amazon. You get pretty much the same in the kit, but you don't get the programming cable, but it's still a lot cheaper. And that's going to be the problem with the radio. If it had the right harmonics and I passed the harmonics test, I would say go for it. We'd have a decent quality CB handheld. Unfortunately, it didn't do so. And that's the verdict, unfortunately. As I say, if you're interested, there's a link to that in the description, and all the other radios as well that I've tested from Retevis. All decent radios in their own way. It's all on their website. Go away and have a look. So that's the end of the video. I try and be honest with you. These radios are sent in free of charge, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be absolutely all over them. I try and give you an honest view. So I hope you appreciate it. Thumbs up, there it is, from Fred in the Shed for your view time. If you get a second, as always, if you could just repeat the thumbs up down below, I really do like to see that. And I'd like to wish that you all stay safe. And someone wrote in a comment, oh, you don't mean that. I do, I really do mean it. I've been saying it for years. I really do hope that you stay safe, stay healthy. And of course, I'll catch you on the next video. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers, guys.
Fred's in the shed where the magic unfolds. Fred in the shed with his trusty CB. He's a friend to the lonely on a frequency.